well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The Second Amendment.
That was nice to hear my buddy Charlton Heston reading the Second Amendment again, because it's been a while. How you doing, Leigh?
Never get enough of Charlton.
No, that's my buddy.
Yeah.
That's never met the guy. Completely different generations, but that's my buddy there. But we're getting together for a brief podcast today to go over this. What's sitting on the table next to us? Why don't you tell us what we have over here, Leigh?
Well, we've got the ACE virtual shooting, I guess, platform or system. We're running it through an Oculus, but I think you can run it through other types of VR, right, Joe?
Well, I know there's multiple Oculus, or now I think it's Meta, the virtual reality Meta. I know there's several Meta varieties that it can go through. I don't know if other virtual reality systems are compatible with ACE, but they do offer several varieties for the Meta with different capacity for memory. Because like a lot of systems, virtual reality it uses Wi-Fi heavily. However, with enough memory, you can take a lot of those games, or I call them games. Other people don't refer to them as games, but I'll just call them games for this podcast. Take the games with you, so if you don't have the ability to sign into Wi-Fi, you can still use the system.
Yeah, and for people who are at home and obviously can't see what we're seeing, you've got basically a set of goggles that go straps over your head, and then you look into the eyepiece, and then you step in sort of a virtual world once you put that on. There's speakers on the sides of the headset that sort of give you a stereo dynamic, and then with the with the ACES set, you're going to get you'll have some type of handgun, right? And there's choices, correct? There's a few choices out there. Why don't you tell them about that?
Right. So expanding a little bit on the system, it's wireless. The part that goes on your head is wireless, and then you have two controllers. Those are also wireless. And
they look almost like, similar to almost like a Wii controller.
Yeah.
Just a controller that you would hold in one hand.
Correct. And then when you get into ACE systems specifically, ACE refers to them as handsets. I'm probably just going to call them guns.
Yeah.
To simplify it, it's a mock gun that the controller is designed to sit on top of, correct? Yep.
So picture a one-handed controller, sort of strapped or snapped into the top of basically like the frame of certain popular firearms.
Right. And right now, we're recording this on July 3rd, and I believe ACE offers 5 guns.
Oh.
But I believe they're dropping another one tomorrow. So by the time this actually hits the airs, there may be another one available. And just for people's sake that they know, the headset that we have tried is the MetaQuest 3. There's MetaQuest 2, MetaQuest 3S, and MetaQuest 3. I don't know. I know there's some differences. We got the one with the higher memory so that if we're on site anywhere demoing it, we make sure we have enough memory there. I believe, don't quote me, I believe the difference between the MetaQuest 3 and the other ones is the MetaQuest 3 supports augmented reality. And I can see as technology advances, which it's doing very quickly, other, maybe even ACE, offering augmented reality within that. So I wanted to make sure that we got that so that if that does become available, we're already compatible for it.
Got it.
But we were introduced to this initially by Sean.
Yeah, our buddy Sean over at Caba.
Yeah.
In Oak Lawn. Great switched on. Only met him the one time, but seemed like a really switched on firearms instructor. If you live in the Oak Lawn area and you want some good training, I think that's a great place for you to start. And he's got an event coming up where he's going to demo the ACE system. And yeah, he showed us this for the first time. We looked at some of the other products that are out there with respect to virtual shooting or self-defense simulators. And so it was right around that time where we were looking into that stuff that we met Sean at Caba, and we got to play with this just a little bit that day when we interviewed him for our podcast.
Yeah, and it was a great podcast. I really liked. I'm glad we met Sean. I really like him. He's very passionate
Definitely.
about 2A. But what I really also like is that he's passionate about training and knowledge, and he sets up different scenarios to run people through like different stressors. And I look very highly on that. So when he showed us this, I was pretty excited because, like you said, we had looked at a couple different simulators. So when we go on site or we go set up a booth places that we can kind of have something to offer to people for them to try.
Yeah, because our goal for at 2A today has been just to have people turned on to the Second Amendment community, to get people engaged, get people involved, and so we sort of thought that as sort of an attraction, having some kind of virtual shooting platform would attract people to our cause.
Sure, make them a little curious, have them come over while they're waiting, have some conversations, and just somewhat of a draw. But as soon as I put it on in Sean's facility there, I liked it. I liked it a lot. And I did a little bit of looking around because you and I are both also major advocates of training. Mm-hmm. Don't just get your license and start carrying a gun and think that if something happens, you'll be just fine.
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer, right, as I know you are, your training takes over. So if you haven't done any, what's then taking over?
Yep.
It could be panic. It could be utter confusion. So the training is crucial. So that then brings us to this here. You nor I have put a lot of time on the ACE system.
Yeah, no, so we're not trying to do a review of this system here. Right. I think I've spent maybe a total of an hour sort of messing with it.
Yep.
I don't know how much time you've got with the goggles on and the handset, the gun, but I'm, maybe a bit more than that.
Yeah, two to three.
So not a lot.
No.
Considering all the capability that seems to be there, all the different things that you can do, we're sort of as far as going through all the different types of shooting you can do within the VR system, the ACES system, we're scratching the surface.
Absolutely. But with your scratching the surface, what do you like right away? Is there anything that jumps out?
Well, the first thing that jumped out at me is sort of like, well, obviously the immersion, right? So, once you put those goggles on, if you've never experienced VR before, it's going to be like jumping into the ocean for the first time with like a scuba mask on, right?
Good comparison.
Things are just, alive and different. So, the first thing you're gonna see is like, wow, the depth perception of the various targets. The layout is really nice. The way you choose, you'll sort of have like a standing screen that looks almost like a sign, and that's where you can pick your different stages that you want to do, and you just aim your handset, you aim your gun at it, squeeze the trigger, and you select where you want to go or what you want to do. And then basically you're standing at a range, and you look in different directions. One way is downrange, the other way is uprange. You've got your lefts and rights. So the first thing I noticed that the way you interact with the virtual world was very, very realistic and immersive.
I agree. It took me by a bit of surprise because my experience with virtual reality in general is very limited.
Yeah, me too.
What I did notice right away, one thing that I like about this right off the bat is you can set up your gun in the system to either use iron sights or to use a red dot. And one thing that a lot of people, including myself, they will struggle with is drawing a firearm from a holster, getting a good purchase on the firearm, and when they bring it up and they're going to maybe get their second hand on the firearm, properly, quickly, and effectively being able to position the firearm to acquire a red dot quickly. I've heard people say, wobbling around or moving around, trying to even locate the red dot within the sight. And one of the things I noticed right away with this is, because we do have a holster so that we can practice holster draws and whatnot, is that it's very realistic compared to a real firearm. So practicing a holster draw and acquiring that red dot on top of your pistol is very, very similar to actually doing that when we've gone out, on outdoor ranges and we draw from holster and acquire that red dot. So right off the bat, I like that that's something that transfers or translates to the real world right off the bat.
And playing around with it yesterday, it looks like you can adjust some of the settings so that you change the zero of your red dot. It seemed like. Did you notice that at all, or
I haven't gotten to that part yet.
I think I saw that. So, folks at home, please don't don't quote me, but I believe that you can make some changes so that if your red dot isn't quite co-witnessed.
Okay, sure.
So if it's not directly co-witnessed when you're presenting the gun in the ACES system, I think you can make some changes to have that. If that's how you run your red dot, some people do, some people don't.
I like that too.
But I believe that is an option in the settings, which is pretty nice.
And I am sure as time goes on and we dive into this, that there's going to be a lot more that we find that we think is advantageous to training. Now, one of the things that we've talked about in the past is, at least me as an individual, I'm sometimes cautious about training a certain way or doing something if I feel that that's more geared toward sports shooting, because I do not want to detract. I don't want anything to detract from the self-defense aspect, because that is the reason I carry a firearm, is to protect me and my family.
Yeah, my favorite quote, one of my favorite quotes from Coach Tony Blauer is, be careful what you train, because you might get good at the wrong thing.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And he's a brilliant guy.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. He summed it up right there. But for anybody that gets involved in competitive shooting, this system has drills, skills, and layouts that directly translate to upcoming competition.
Absolutely.
And for anybody that wants to run a drill, find out when they want to do a mag drop and a reload, the order that they might want to engage certain targets, this is going to mimic some of those courses to like directly.
Yeah. If you think you're going to shoot USPSA, and you think you have as a goal that you want to reach the higher classifications, master, grandmaster, if you want to get all the way to the top of that, obviously without a system like this, you're going to be setting up targets for the classifiers, the way you're scored against everybody else on that particular day. You're going to want to set up those classifiers and dry fire them, because you want to have run those scenarios over and over again, and you can't always do it out at the range for time and cost. It's time and cost prohibitive. Unless you have some kind of sponsorship, which most people don't.
Right.
And there are plenty of people that reach very, very high classifications and don't have sponsorships. So what do? They set it up in their backyard. They set it up in their basement. The problem is that some of the classifiers are a little complicated, and it would take a lot of effort for you to set that up. This does a lot of that for you.
And that's big.
Very realistic way. Obviously, for civilian self-defense, I don't spend a lot of time teaching people to do reloads. It's not a skill that you're really going to have. According to what we see in a lot of statistics.
Rule of three, right? 3 rounds, 3 seconds. What is it? 3 rounds, 3 yards, 3 seconds.
Almost no reloads in civilian self-defense shootings. Police officers, absolutely. But civilian self-defense shootings almost never, ever see a reload. So do we spend a lot of time? No, but if you shoot in USPSA, you're going to do a lot of reloads.
You're most certainly
and they
dropping
need to be
magazines.
Fast, absolutely.
Right.
And so you can practice it. Again, it's VR, so you're not actually inserting a magazine into the handset, but you can practice the pop proper. You could have your belt rig on, and you could practice the proper purchase and simulate it pretty close.
Because the gun in VR does run out of ammunition.
Yep.
You do have to do a reload virtually. Now, in this system, that consists of dropping your magazine and essentially hitting the bottom of the grip.
Yep.
That's going to reload the magazine in this system. However, like you said, if you want to make it more realistic, when you have to do that, have your magazine pouch on and reach for it the way you would and go through that, create that muscle memory and that intuitive instinct to know to grab that mag and put it in.
Absolutely.
And start firing again.
So you could get pretty close with that, which is nice. Trigger, it feels like a duck hunt trigger. So it's a plastic, feels like a toy kind of trigger mechanism.
And no recoil.
No recoil on the handset that you're holding in your hand. So the simulated gun that you're holding in your hand you're not going to experience any recoil. However, in the VR goggles, the firearm does recoil. So visually, you'll see a recoil, but the gun itself isn't recoiling in your hand.
Correct. And I have not spoken to anyone at ACE. I'm not an affiliate, neither are you. Mm-hmm. That's not to say in the future that's not, all this, I believe, and Sean's going to know a little bit better. He's dealt with them a little bit longer, but I believe this
is really the point of this podcast.
Correct.
We're trying to get people to go out and support Sean.
Yeah.
And go out and check out this stuff because it is worth it. And I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off, Joe.
Basically, what I was saying is maybe the next generation handset/gun has the option to drop a CO2 cartridge in there and mimic some recoil.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's the case.
But the possibility maybe.
It looks like this is the type of company that wants to offer premium options.
Yeah.
This isn't terribly expensive. It's not inexpensive. Some of the stuff I purchased was, like I said, I got the Quest 3 with the largest memory. But you don't have to do that. You can get into the system less expensive than I did it. And I'm sure most of it's going to be still pretty effective. But I'm very anxious to see what they continue to develop. And I'm sure they're going to be listening to people on taking comments on what can we change. What do you guys think?
If you're in Illinois and the winter months, you're hibernating, and you're into shooting, and you can't always afford to go to the range, this would be a great way for you to just have some fun and stay in the mix.
This is
so if it's just sort of recreational for you, this could be a great option. In addition, if you're in USPSA and you want to do well in USPSA, this is in my opinion, it's an invaluable tool, especially since you can actually move dynamically if you have an open space in your home. Or if you could do it in a place that's obviously
a controlled environment.
Yeah, an environment where you're not going to scare the neighbors.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you are holding a white plastic simulated gun. Now, when I say simulated gun, the one that you have is a SIG, or at least in the VR it said SIG. Do you know what your handset?
I bought
simulates?
The one they call ARCA, and it's designed to.
What's it supposed
I believe mimic maybe a SIG 320.
Okay, yeah.
People can go ahead and check and let me know that I'm wrong or right. But our podcast that we did with Sean was episode number 19 on our podcast page. And we did that, it posted October of 24. So, boy, that's 8-9 months already. Yeah. That was a while ago.
Year.
But Sean's a really, really good guy. I'm like I said, I'm really glad we met him. And for anybody that's interested, obviously they can go on YouTube. They can look at this. But Sean is having a demo day, and I believe he's going to do all of the handsets, all the variety of guns.
Yeah,
I believe he's going to have.
Yep, he said all the handsets.
Saturday, August 2nd, at his facility, which is in Oak Forest. It's convenient to get to because it's right off Interstate 57. Very convenient. 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you've got a huge window of, trying to get over there.
If you want to register, it's KBSPORTS2.com, the number 2.com. So KBSports2.com, and you can get more details and you can register.
Yeah, I believe somebody from ACE is going to be there.
Oh, even better. Yeah.
They're going to go through question and answer periods. I may go to this because, that's not too far away, and I'm sure
I'd like to see Sean again. I'd try to
get to see Sean
with you.
And I'm sure by August 2nd, I'm only going to be still scratching the surface. It seems like it's obviously not endless, although it virtually could be endless.
Yeah.
because all they have to do is constantly update the software. The software is a subscription based. There's two ways to do it. I might be off here, but I think if you go on a monthly basis, it's $20. If you pay for a year at a time, it drops all the way down to $14 per month to do a year at a time. And that's less than a box of ammo, depending on what ammo you use. I'm excited to go see Sean. I'm excited for him because I know that this is something that he was really excited about. So I'm very anxious to learn more about this.
Yeah, I definitely sort of the trainer hat of for me. Unless you really start doing something somehow, and I haven't, I don't know that exactly what that would be. Sitting here, that you build in some kind of training scar because because it is, like you said, it is to a certain extent a game.
Right.
But if you try to avoid just some of those maybe potential pitfalls, I don't see how you can go wrong.
Yeah.
It's gonna build some skills, but especially if you want to get good at USPSA, I think this is a ticket for you to get good at USPSA.
Out of the gate, I think that's where it holds most value right now.
Yeah, and they're partnered with USPSA. From what I see, is that USPSA has a partnership with ACE, and obviously the benefits of that are clear on both sides.
Absolutely. One of my suggestions or questions right off the bat, if I get to talk to anybody from ACE, is going to be, is anything in the works to use it like a self-defense training tool? Mm-hmm. I would absolutely love to have different drills set up and be able to hone those skills a little bit. But that's not everyone's focus. That's mine right now. So go ahead, everybody, check out kbsports2.com. And if you go August 2nd to go see Sean, my name is Joe. This is Leigh's over here, and let us know you heard us. And
tell them we sent you.
yeah, we'd love to say hi to some of the listeners too.